to talk to you about commitment, which is, yeah, your guys' favorite word. But I'm just going to walk you through like how my commitment to basketball has kind of changed over my years. So, being the Ambrose student that I am, I'm going to define it for you. I'm sorry. So commitment, or being committed, is having a pledge or commitment to something or someone. So it's like a promise, really. And I think with basketball and just so many other things, it's really easy to lose sight of like what you're actually committed to when you're doing something. So when I first started out basketball, I was pretty deplorable, which I guess is what you get when you're a white 5th grade girl who's never played before. My grandpa literally has recently said to me, like, "Hey, when you started out, like, you were awful." And I was like, thanks, that was really encouraging. But I was like not naturally talented at basketball, like at all. My father can attest to that for sure. But yeah, I basically played just because my dad was like, "You have to play a sport." I was like, "Okay, fine." And softball was like, "Ooh," so I decided to play basketball. So that's basically all it was at first. Like, I was committed to basketball because dad was my coach and I had to play a sport, so I was like, okay, basketball, whatever. And during my freshman year of high school, I was on varsity, and that was just a lovely, lovely year. But we were losing a lot, and so we were all like really discouraged. And I personally, as a freshman, felt like I wasn't really good enough to make a difference because I had just gotten there. I wasn't really that good, so I was just kind of in the background, just surfing, really. But it was also hard because there were a lot of girls on the team that I didn't really know. So not only did I feel like not really good enough to play, but there were so many girls I didn't know, and so it was really awkward and cue the social anxiety. But anyway, that summer my dad had me practicing in the gym in our little cement pad outside and everything. And I remember asking repeatedly, like, "Dad, why am I doing this? Why am I practicing? Like, this really doesn't matter." He can also attest to that because I complained a lot. And he had me doing strength and conditioning and everything too, and I was like, "Can we just have air conditioning?" But whatever. But long story short, like, I dreaded all of it, like the strength and conditioning, like practicing outside because it was hot, and like driving to the gym and practicing. Like, it was terrible. I like actually hated it. People are texting me. But sophomore year though was kind of when things started to change a little bit. I think that was when I really learned like what commitment was and like how committed I was to basketball. That was the year when Emma Ford and Julia Buckley were seniors. I don't really know if you know them. Yes, Carol, thank you for nodding. And then Hannah and Nicole were there too. And they were the ones who really made basketball special. I got more excited to play because I knew I was going to play with those girls, and they just made all the difference, really. And our team just really got better. And that culminated in a loss against New Plymouth, which I think, was that like, if we had won that, would we have gone to state? Or
gone to a play-in game, yeah.
Okay, it was close, whatever. And I remember sitting down in that disgusting locker room with like the gum on the walls and just like crying with everyone. I remember feeling like, I hate this feeling. Like, I hate losing like this in such a like gut-wrenching way. And I sat there and I was like, man, I love these girls and I never want to let them down. And believe it or not, the very next day, without my dad telling me to, I went to the gym and I started practicing. And I was like, it was all because we had lost that. And I was like, this is never gonna happen again. That was terrible. And I just realized like I cared so much about the team and the girls on the team and everything that I was like, no, that's it. I want to be good enough so that I never have to let my team down, basically. And before that, I hadn't really been like a massive force on the team. Like, I was just kind of surfing in the background. Like, I'd have a couple points, a couple rebounds, like whatever. I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't like great at all. I was just there, really. But I worked my butt off that summer. Like, I literally could have slept here and that would have saved me time. Like, it was ridiculous. But that was also the year that I realized I was playing for God too. And when people are always like, yeah, you're playing for your team, you're playing for Christ. And I was like, what does that mean? Am I like supposed to pray for the other team? Like, what does that mean I'm supposed to do? Like, that is stupid. But what I realized and what I hope you guys come to realize is, obviously you guys go to a Christian school, and the vast majority of the schools and the players that you guys are gonna play are not Christians. So like what I think it really means to like show Christ to them is just like, I don't know, like just say, encourage the girls, just be like, I like your hair, your shoes are cool, like don't yell at the refs. Just being like really kind and loving to them, even if like they're being a butt to you, because they definitely will, but just move past that. But yeah, that realization really changed the way that I viewed the game. And then the next year, after practicing all that summer, my junior year, like Hannah said, like that was the best year, like of basketball ever. Like the runs to Olive Garden, like those were so good. Hanging out at Nicole's house, the film reviews, watching Nicole Crampton complain. It was just a really, really fun season. And that year was so beautiful because all the girls collectively decided like, hey, we really care about basketball and we really care about each other. And that just completely changed like the trajectory of the season and culminated in us going to state. And I firmly believe that if we hadn't have all just were committed to each other and to the sport, we never would have gotten there. And we like, it was really, really hard. Like as Hannah was saying, like the adversity was really strong. Like I had to call people so many times to be like, hey, you coming to practice? Well, Rachel. So like you had to push them to come to practice. Once they were at practice, you like really had to encourage them to keep going, keep pushing throughout the whole thing. Like I said, like it was all of us. And the rest is like pretty much history. Like a couple of you guys were there this season for my senior year. And it took us a little while to like get going, but I think the fact that we made it like to the state playing game when we were the 5th seed just really shows like the perseverance you all had and the endurance we had to just work together and do it. So I'm gonna leave you with the last little nugget of wisdom, which I mean is rare for me. But it's just to find out like right now where you are, like who or what you're committed to right now. And just talk to yourself, be like, am I doing this for my stats, the college resume, like just my reputation as an athlete? Like notice how those are all things just about you as an individual, like just about yourself. Or are you playing basketball because you want to play with these girls? Like, are you committed to your teammates? Are you committed to your coaches, your family, Christ, like all these things? And it might take you a little while to like find out what you really are committed to. Like it took me to my sophomore year. Don't take that long. But just make sure you commit yourself to the right things. And I personally wasted a long time like worrying about how I played and how I looked to other people. But just like the gospel tells us, it's when you look outward and try and help other people, that's when things really start to have value.